O'Hara's Irish Red Ale.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. I've got a bottle of this stuff, and this is the O'Hara's Irish Red Ale. Now, Irish Red Ale may sound like some sort of novelty beer, but it's not. The default Irish Red Ale comes from a brewery called Smithwick's. I've just reviewed it on the channel, and to be honest, I didn't really think much of it at all. However, I think because they're owned by Diageo / Guinness, that the beer that they were producing was just a, how can I put it, was just a caricature of the actual style. Now, this lot, O'Hara's, are a recent craft brew company from a place in Ireland called Carlow, or a county, I should say, to give it its correct term, called Carlow. And I know Carlow quite well because my mum used to live there and I used to go over and visit. And this brewery is an 11-minute drive from where my mum used to live. And I never knew about it at the time. And to be honest, I wasn't into craft beer at the time. I'm going back about 20 years. And I wasn't into craft brew beer at the time. It was a new concept. Brewdog was just a figment of someone's imagination, if it was even that. And this lot were brewing beer even before then. In 1996 they started. And Carlow is the malt and hop growing region of Ireland, or it's got a very good reputation for the malt and hops that it grows there. And they have capitalised on that, and they've started brewing. Well, they started brewing there quite a long time ago. Now, I've tried a couple of O'Hara's beers. I've tried their IPA, which is an Irish pale ale, which I love because everyone thinks an IPA is going to be like an English or an American, but it's not. It's an Irish pale ale, and it was very nice too. I've tried their stout, Irish stout, which was really nice, I have to say. I had no complaints about that. So I've got sort of high hopes for this one as well. And after tasting the Smithwick's Red Ale, I have to say this lot would have to do something fucking drastic to be as bad as that. Now, that may sound harsh, but the Smithwick's just didn't have any flavour whatsoever. And that is the best-selling ale in Ireland. Now, Ireland is either, from my experience, they're starting to get into craft beer now, but it's usually Guinness or lager, and there's no half measures. I remember when I used to go over there to visit my mum, and it was how I got into drinking Guinness, really. They'd had two styles of beer on draft, and it would be Guinness and Budweiser. They were your choices. And of course, I won't drink Budweiser. Budweiser was bad even back then. Well, it's always been bad in my opinion, but that's how I started drinking the Guinness, because it was really the only sort of beer that had any integrity, and it was the best beer in the pub at the time. And of course, Ireland is the best place to get Guinness. Don't get me wrong, there are certain pubs and places in United Kingdom and even in America as well that do decent Guinness, but consistently good Guinness does come from Ireland. That is a fact. You can't dispute that and say, well, name another country where there's consistently good Guinness apart from Ireland. You just can't really. The United Kingdom, don't get me wrong, has got some great pubs, as I said, and we're going back a bit now, where there was Irish communities in London, you'd have Irish pubs that did beer that was just as good as Ireland, but it just can't compare to what the Irish did. Anyway, I'm going way off topic here. Let's get back to this beer. Now, this beer was actually not originally called O'Hara's Irish Red Ale. It was called Molin's Red Ale. Why? I don't know. I can't find that out, but that's what it was called. And there's a dispute that this is not a traditional Irish style of beer. It is based on British keg style bitter. And there could potentially be something in that, because I've tasted Welsh Red Ale and I've tasted Scottish Red Ale as well. The Orkney Brewery do one called Red McGregor, and I've reviewed that on the channel. Look at that review. That is a fantastic beer, but all the beers from the Orkney Brewery are really good from my experience, and I've reviewed quite a few of them. And the Welsh Red Ale, I think that was possibly an invention by the Tiny Rebel Craft Brewery, which I reviewed again, and it was really nice. So I have to say that that wasn't bad at all. But the Irish Red Ale seems to have a bit more of a heritage. It's, you know, it goes back to Smithwick's and all that, and Smithwick's were brewing their stuff in the 1700s. So that argument about the British keg beer, you know, you can have an opinion on it, and that's all it'll be. There is no real hard evidence to say it is or it isn't from what I've found out so far in my research. Anyway, let's stop gassing. Let's get back to this beer and investigate and see what it is. Right, 330ml bottle. It's 4.3%. It is, as they say, an Irish Red Ale from County Carlow. And that's about it really. It's just got water, barley, water, hops and yeast. Water, barley, hops, wheat, yeast in this. No rye, I don't think. Sometimes I was drinking a beer last night actually. I was out with a mate in a local pub, and they had a rye red ale, and it was really nice. I don't know for the life of me. Oh, Grim Reaper. Grim Reaper by, what was the name of the brewery? It wasn't Angels and Demons, because that's what my mate was drinking. Bombay Social Club IPA, which was, again, that was quite nice as well. That was by Angels and Demons. I can't remember who the Grim Reaper stuff was by. I'll have to put that up here now. Anyway, enough about that. Let's get this beer open. Let's see what's going on. There's the cap. It's a bit sort of nondescript really. It's got logos on it that are really hard to read. Brass cap, just been stamped on there. One for the collection. Now it says to drink this out of one of the O'Hara's tulip glasses. Obviously I don't have one of them, so I'm going to drink it out of this instead. This is a Belgian tulip glass. So let's see what gives there. And of course Belgium has a history of red ale too. Flanders Red Ale, which is like a sour type red ale, which I really like. Grand Cru, of course, being the main type. What have we got on the nose? Wow, sweet malt. Really sweet. Sweet, I think that's possibly a cross between biscuit and caramel. It does smell really nice, and there's some earthy, hoppy notes in there, but it's mainly all about the caramel. This does smell really nice actually. Oh, I'm really looking forward to this now. God, it's just all about the malt. Super sweet, grainy malt, biscuit, strong biscuit and some caramel. That's what I'm getting. It smells really good. Cannot wait for this now. Is there a little bit left? There is. I don't know whether I'll get it in the glass or not. There you go. There you go, Lois. Looks really nice. Very, very dark ruby colour. Almost like a ruby ale. 2-finger, foamy, loosely packed white head. Looks really nice. Let's get it down the hatch. Sláinte, as they say in Ireland. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, that's really nice. Oh, and a nice bit of finish on it too. Oh, that's really good. It's putting me in mind of a British ruby ale. So that I can see that argument about the keg bitter, but I don't know. I don't think I've tasted a keg bitter as good as this. Certainly not from the 70s. I don't think there was anything like this. Oh, it's lovely. That is really nice. That's quite complex. You've got to take your time with this and just digest all the flavours. First, you get a biscuit malt. Then it's like toast, very slightly burnt toast. Then you get a rush of caramel. And the finish, you're getting quite spicy hops that give it a bitterness on the arse end of it. And there is a very, very small touch of toffee malt on there. But altogether, this makes for a really nice beer. I'll tell you something, the Smithwick stuff really doesn't compare to this at all. This is just bursting with flavour, and it's all about the malt. There is some hop character right at the end. You're getting like a spicy, bitter finish at the end, which isn't massive, but it's there. But before that, you've got the full range. You've got the biscuit malt, and then it feels like, as I say, it's like toasted bread. So there is some sort of bready malt going on there. Then you get a rush of caramel malt. Just before the finish, there's a little hint of toffee malt, and then, as I say, it's the spice from the hops. But it's really nice. It's really flavoursome as well. Oh, it's so good. And do you know what? It's reminded me of a German beer, like a really good Dunkel. If I was in a blindfold test, I'd swear that was German. A really good Bavarian Dunkel. Really nice. And at 4.3, you could just drink gallons and gallons of this stuff. What I would like to see is O'Hara's do this, but with a higher ABV. And it would be like a Doppelbock. A really good one though. If they could keep that flavour, but just get the ABV higher, that would be fucking superb. I really like this. This is just almost blown me away. And after a night where I've reviewed the Brewdog Choco Libre, which was absolutely disgusting. That had a chili like finish on it, which just ruined it for me. I've tried the Leeds Brewery Best Bitter, really nice, very impressed with that. That was really good. I tried the Einsiedler Land Beer, which to me was disappointing. I was expecting a real big flavour fest from that, and it just wasn't there to what I thought it was going to be. But this stuff, this has blown me away. I think this is the best beer of the night. This is fantastic stuff.
I tell you, I fucking love that.
So what's the verdict on O'Hara's Irish Red? In a word, excellent. That is fantastic. You know, people talk about Smithwick's being the default Irish red ale. You just think, well, stand aside, because there is a new pretender to the throne, and that is O'Hara's Irish Red Ale. This is superb. Now, if you're a fan of German Dunkels, if you're a fan of British Ruby Ales, and if you just like some flavoursome beer, this is the one for you, because I'll tell you something, this is bursting with flavour. If the Smithwick stuff was bland and boring and flavourless, this is just the extreme opposite. It's really nice. I absolutely love this stuff. I'm giving that a 10 out of 10. If I could give it more, I would, because it's amazing. I will definitely be buying this again in bigger volumes, because I'll tell you something, I could drink this stuff all night. And at 4.3%, that is a perfect session beer. And it's a definite recommendation, because this has just made my evening. On an evening where I've been let down and really turned off by beers, this has really made my evening. Don't get me wrong, the Leeds best bitter was good, but I think this is the beer of the evening for me. This is amazing stuff, really good. If you're a fan of traditional British beers, if you love flavoursome beers, as I say, you've got to try this. This is amazing, absolutely brilliant. 10 out of 10, recommended. And remember, just like this stuff, beer is working class champagne.